So first and foremost, before we get started, I have to do my duty and to plug us. We want you to follow us on the web, on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all that. So there's our addresses for the website, for Twitter, and Facebook and LinkedIn. And I think today we are going live too, I reckon. So here we go. Welcome to Harborside International Golf Facility, and welcome to the Illinois International Port District second annual State of the Port. What we're going to do today is we're going to give a quick address, and then we're going to go through a slide deck, talk about what's happening at the Port District, some of the things, exciting things that have happened or occurred over the last few years, some of the things that we're engaged in this year, what we're looking forward to doing next year. We will introduce some of the folks that are integral partners with the port. We have board members here, we have some elected officials here, so we will go through all of that. And then at the end, we're going to break at the end of this, and then we can engage in conversations, and you all can meet some of the folks that are certainly helping us do what we need to do here at the Illinois International Port District. So welcome. So thank you all for coming out and to hear about the Illinois International Port District. Tonight I want to speak to you about the state of the Illinois International Port District, its direction, along with its finances. The IIPD's finances impact every aspect of life of the port, guiding how, when, and where we invest in industry, maintenance, capital improvements, and recreation. How the IIPD handles its finances defines who we are, and more importantly, the kind of port we will be. The IIPD's direction impacts the choices that we make. We have some incredible choices to make, but I'm confident that working together, we will ultimately make the choice that best serves the port, the region, the city, state, nation, and beyond. Make no mistake about it, the decisions that are made at the port, by the port, and for the port affect the global economy, and each decision weighs those implications. That being said, we are extremely cognizant that we are located in one of the best states of the Union, the largest county in the nation, the greatest city in America, and the most up-and-coming and dynamic ward here in around the area. However, tonight is not a budget speech or the planning forum. Those are forthcoming. Instead, tonight is an opportunity to explain where we are today within our budget and the plans that we have coming this next year. When I came before the board of directors at the IIPD as the executive director, I told them that I would take what my predecessor had done and build upon it, and that we would be aggressive in doing so. We needed to get shipshape through our finances, capital expenditures, contracts and best practices, and planning. When I came before the IIPD's board of directors a little more than 3 years ago, I told them that in 3 years the ship would not be turned around, but within those 3 years, they would see or be able to see the ship turning. In 2017, we began to get our financial house back in order by increasing revenue and decreasing debt. Since 2013, we have increased revenue at the port 50% and decreased debt 83%. This is due to our incredible buy-in from our board of directors, our elected officials in Washington, D.C., Springfield, City Hall, and is further evidenced by their presence here today. The ship is turning. In 2018, we began to focus on capital expenditures, and we were able to fully fund our first and most important capital project, Butler Drive. This almost $20 million project is fully funded through grants, IDOT, Cook County, and TIF, the City of Chicago, and is set to begin any day now, like Monday. Right, not the West. This is due to our never-ending education and showcasing of the port to our state and local officials. Again, I say the ship is turning. In 2019, we continue to focus on capital through a concerted effort with the Illinois Ports Association, with our state legislature, and for the first time in the state's history, we were included in the state's capital bill. This was no small feat, and a lot of legislators did a lot of heavy lifting to ensure that the 19 port districts in Illinois would be able to be the recipients of at least $150 million. Furthermore, in 2019, we have begun to codify our best practices in that all the contracts we seek RFPs on will now adhere to prevailing wage and will, at a minimum, strive to meet our 26 and 6 M and WBE goals. Our hiring processes will continue to look for the best talent close to home, and we will continue to look to hiring ex-offenders and veterans first. The ship is turning. In 2020, we will continue what we have begun and focus on our tenant-client contracts, a master plan for the port, and a master plan for the port. Over the past 2 years, we have been the recipient of 2 excellent analyses about the port from the University of Chicago's Booth School and have begun moving in the suggested direction of both. However, to move more aggressively and direct, we now will adhere to a fully funding engagement to master plan the Illinois International Port District. And there'll be more about that a little bit later on in the presentation. The ship is turning. But the ship has not fully completed its 180. We still have our challenges. Our dock walls are in dire straits. Our transit sheds are over 50 years old and they look that way. They need to either be upgraded or better yet raised. We have uninhabited land that we need to lease out, and there are other aspects of the port that we need to be aggressive in focusing on conservatively. There are numerous other capital expenditures that we need to embark upon, including creating a new industrial park at our Lake Calumet facility. However, from this point, we're going to start the presentation. We're going to talk about ports in general. We're going to talk about the Illinois International Port specifically, and then what we are doing, and better yet, maybe what we could and or should do. So let's talk about ports 101. So everybody, I've asked people to do this before, but I need you to come with me for a split second. Everybody close your eyes for a second and think about a port. Please, close your eyes, just for a second. All right, open your eyes. Now there's 2 things I guarantee that you saw when you pictured a port: water and containers. So if you saw only water and containers, you missed out on what ports are. You certainly missed out on what we are. What we are is fundamentally a transportation logistics hub. Ports are logistics hubs. We deal with rail, road, and water. And if you didn't see all 3 modes of transportation, you're missing out on the importance of ports. So what we want to talk about is the old school port was just a harbor, a town or a city where ships load or unload, especially one where customs officers are stationed. 2019, we are the heart and brain of any transportation logistic contemplation, and we are agnostic to the mode of transportation. Ports are the central nervous system for everything that utilizes transportation in a commercial way. Therefore, as we move forward, we have to look at things beyond the standard view of a port. One of the reasons why I like this picture over here to my right is it is a good snapshot of what ports are. You see, and this is our Lake Calumet facility, directly south of where we are right now. You see the 2 grain elevators, but you see the water access, you see the rail access, and you see the road. And inherently, this is what you see. Smart enough to put in here, sorry. When we start talking about ports. So now let's talk about Illinois ports. So we'll talk about Illinois ports 101 again. Illinois Ports Association represents the 19 Illinois port districts, and out of those 19, 3 are in the leading 100 U.S. ports. The IIPD sits number 2 in the Great Lakes and number 36 within the United States. But there are an additional 350 other private port terminals in Illinois alone. And it's important to recognize that even though there are 19 port districts in the state, that all of these ports make up a network in a system. And if you look at the conservative estimates at what ports bring to this great state of ours, you will see that the $6.4 billion in revenue is nothing to sneeze at. The 48,000 jobs that are associated with the Illinois ports is incredible, along with the $81 billion in manufactured goods, $37 billion in agricultural goods, and $18 billion in chemical goods. And with these numbers that were brought to the attention of our legislators, they were easily convinced that any investment back into the ports was an investment back into the state's economic growth with incredible returns. And that is the charter of definitely the Illinois International Port District. It is to be an economic stimulus for the state, the region, and beyond. So welcome to the Illinois International Port District and America's 4th coast. So what's the best thing I can say about that is that the IIPD is the greatest multimodal facility in North America and deals with the American economy and transportation logistics. So now let's talk about the Illinois International Port District 101. We are governed by a 9-member board appointed, 5 members appointed by the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois. And I'd like to recognize 3 of our board members that are here tonight. So Paul Chodikis, we have Henry Wisniewski, and Bill Habel that are here. And them being here, they're engaged, they're more engaged, and I feel like I'm very blessed to have board members that are taking the time to come out here to also hear what you all have to say, understand what's going on, and recognizing the importance of the port. We are 3 facilities. We have 190 acres at Iroquois Landing, 1,600 acres where we are, and Harborside International Golf Facility where we're located. Our connection to the road, rail, and water is unprecedented. You can see there, but the big thing is that we are located on 2 waterway systems. So we are the only Great Lakes and inland rivers port. 6 of the 7 Class 1 railroads come to and through the Illinois International Port District, and we're within 10 miles of 5 or more U.S. national highways, and we administer Foreign Trade Zone number 22. So even though it's not on this slide, I was remiss for not putting Foreign Trade Zone number 22 on there, because this is a major aspect of one of the offerings that the Illinois International Port District has in office. The importance of this is that it creates or encourages more business to come to the port, but more business to be actively engaged in Illinois and to create more jobs and to adhere to more manufacturing here in the great state. And we paid a lot of money to get Miss Erica Bird, my assistant here, trained up and to make sure that we are administering that correctly. As a side, I think many of you know or remember that my former assistant, Al Nakayama, passed away suddenly. And he passed away suddenly last year, next week. But we're very blessed to get Erica to come in and to fill in those shoes and to keep us moving without us really hitting much of a hiccup. One of the things I will tell you when it comes to the planning aspect is plan on doing those memorial gardens. And Al Nakayama Memorial Gardens when all is said and done. So that's a personal side note there. So let's talk about the state of the Illinois International Port District. 2017, our finances were $4.6 million. Our revenue had increased to 11.6, and the debt was reduced by 61.6%. I told everybody that we would not hit a home run, a grand slam like that again, but we have been keeping up the trend. In spite of the fact that our finances were down in 2018, we were down to 4.5. Revenue decreased by $1 million, but the debt was unchanged. That decrease was due to the regulations that were changed actually with the foreign trade zone, and that the revenue that the IIPD saw from administering the foreign trade zones went down exponentially at that point. But even with that, it was only a decrease in 1%. And then in 2019, our finances rebounded. We're projected to be about 5.1 million. Revenue will increase by 11%, and the debt will stay unchanged. I can tell you in a snapshot, one of the reasons that we have been able to do that is we've been aggressive in allowing North America Stevedoring Company, our largest tenant, to grow. And as we have land and opportunities available, they take full advantage of it. And I know we have a couple of representatives from NASCO here as well. So we looked at the, and these are the numbers that we have so far, we don't have the 2018, but we looked at the economic impact that the ports of Illinois had on the great state. And now if you look at the economic impact that the Port of Chicago has, we're looking at a generation of 6,000 jobs, a total projected income of $514 million, $479 million in business revenue, state taxes over $56 million, federal taxes $135 million in the total revenue, and this is as a result of the economic impact. It's over $1 billion from the IIPD alone. I'd like to highlight with the state taxes, this number is one of the things that allow the state representatives, and State Representative Tarver is here for sure, and I want to thank you and your colleagues for the heavy lift that you did. Earlier, Senator Sandoval and Senator DeWitt were here along with Representative Nick Smith and a couple others. They did a heavy lift. And in order for them to do the heavy lift of the investment back in the port, it was important and inherent that we showed that this truly was an investment. These state taxes that come back as a result of the IIPD were coming back from no investment from the state before. So now with the investment that we have, and that's the $150 million being in the capital bill, we look to take that money not to do $150 million worth of projects at the port, and unfortunately we won't get all $150 million, we'll get our percentage of it. But the goal is to take the percentage of the capital funds that we get and then to utilize that money as match on the federal dollars so that we can do larger projects, which in turn make us more attractive to bring in more revenue back to the state. One of the things that should be made clear is the impact that the port has on the economy and not the returns back to the port. Our goal is not to make $1 billion at the port. Our goal is to be that economic driver. That being said, I do have board members to answer to as well. So, and they're here making sure that I say the right things. The Illinois International Port District is comprised of, and I feel like this is extremely important because when we met before the city council, I think that there were a couple things that maybe was misunderstood. The Illinois International Port District does not employ 6,381 people. The Illinois International Port District's total revenue was not $1,186 million, and that was very important to note. So that people are clear, the Illinois International Port District employs 5 people, me being one of them, Erica being another one, Mike, Daniel, and Luke are here. That is our full complement. They're in this room right here. 5 of us are doing this. I'm not doing this woe is me or anything like that. What I'm telling you is, though, we are not 6,381 people. But with the 5 of us, what we are looking to do is to make sure that we are fiscal bearers and that we're doing the right thing with the money that does come in. We eat what we kill. So the money that we get separate and apart now from the capital bill is all generated through our leases, our licensing, and the administration of foreign trade zone number 22. And our total revenue this year should be $5.1 million. I just love this picture. This picture shows Iroquois Landing. We have 190 acres over at Iroquois Landing. One tenant, NASCO's there. But what this shows is the type of port that we are. We are a break bulk port. What you will see are commodities that are laid out on the ground, that are out in the open. Some are in some of the transit sheds right there. We have cargo ship over here. We have cargo ship right here, but we also have 2 cruise ships. And we try to be as accommodating as possible when and where possible. So best practices. So one of the things that we've been doing at the prodding and making sure that we're doing the right things for the stewards of our of what we do and how we do it is our best practices are prevailing wage and M and WBE standards. As we move into 2020, we expect to have more opportunities to contract, and with that, we are codifying these policies to make sure that we are uniform in our actions and that we ensure that we're not failing on our commitments. We will ensure that all of our RFPs include prevailing wage requirements and that our MBE and WBE standards are 26 and 6 so that we mirror the city of Chicago. Our facilities. So we talked about the 3 facilities: Iroquois Landing, Lake Calumet, Harborside International Golf Facility. So back, this is a better shot of that picture with the cargo ships and then the cruise ships. Iroquois Landing is at the southwest corner of Lake Michigan, and this is the Calumet River as it comes in. This is over here and up here, so we are right here at Harborside, and Iroquois Landing is up and east from where we are right now. So we're in between 103rd Street and 130th, and Iroquois Landing is at 95th Street in the lake. 190 acres of both 3,000 linear foot dock and the crossroads of international shipping and domestic barging at this facility, and we're able to serve ships, barges, cruise ships, truck, rail, and rail traffic. We're fully occupied by IIPD's largest tenant, NASCO, and we deal with 2 main commodities over there, that being steel and lumber. This is, again, just south of where we are right now. This is Lake Calumet, or the Senator Dan Doherty Harbor. The Illinois International Port District's Lake Calumet facility is located between 103rd and 130th Street, Doty Avenue on the west, and Stony Island on the east. Or the Bishop Ford, Doty Avenue is the access road. And we encompass about 1,600 acres. Harbor operations and terminals are located at the junction point of the Grand Calumet and Little Calumet rivers, approximately 6 miles inland from Lake Michigan. We boast unprecedented access at Lake Calumet. As I mentioned before, the 6 of the 7 Class 1 railroads, the highway access, and connections to both the St. Lawrence Seaway and the Mississippi River system is all within 10 miles. For the most part, we are dredged all the way down to Emesco, or up to Emesco, by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, who's also here. We appreciate you all being there, and the partnerships that we have, to 27 feet, so we can get ship traffic that can travel through the Great Lakes all the way to our Lake Calumet facility, and then vice versa, barges that come up to and through the Mississippi River system can come not only to Lake Calumet, but also up to our Iroquois Landing facility. And then you have where we are right now, Harborside International Golf Facility. We're located not too far from downtown. You all got here. It's world-class links. The history behind this, if you're unaware, quick history is the reason why it's a links course is because you're standing on what used to be the city dump. This is ultimately capped. They decided to put on community beneficial use or reuse of the land and the acreage, and they made a world-class golf course. We are governed by quite a few great people. I will say that each one of the people up here and beyond are directly our elected officials, with the senators, Congressman Kelly, the governor, the mayor, the president, Senator Sims, Senator Smith, Representative Tarver, Commissioner Moore, Alderman Garza. These have been our greatest champions, and they've helped us out immensely. But if I stop right there, I would be remiss. Representative Will Davis, Senator Sandoval, who was here earlier, the governor, Mike, I appreciate you being here, from the mayor's office, Christian Mitchell from the governor's office. Just, there are a lot of people that feel like I need a lot of help, and I appreciate that. And I'm the beneficiary of a lot of goodwill, as evidenced by my gorgeous wife over there, who's, yeah. No, if you look at her, you'd see, right? You're like, yeah, he's a lucky dude, so that's where you are. And I got my 2 little boys over here too, so I'd be remiss if I didn't say something. So there's Clayton the fourth, and there's Anderson Jackson. Came out, so thank you for that. We are where we are because we have started to look at our IIPD tenants less like tenants and more like clients. So I mentioned North America Stevedore & Company multiple times, but even with Kinder Morgan and the renegotiation of the contracts that have to come up with Sweet Mix, Kafko, Maloney Lumber, and beyond, these are partnerships that are very, very important for us to nurture and to grow. And we are attempting to do everything that we can to make sure that we approach these and more as a client service relationship, and that we serve our clients. In addition to that, our partnerships are immeasurable. So a lot of our partners are against the wall over here when we start talking about IDOT, CMAP, IDNR, the Calumet Collaborative, NBC, the Corps of Engineers, Active Transportation Alliance, the Nature Conservancy, Friends of Big Marsh, Sweet Beginnings. I mean, each one of these has played an integral part with what is happening at the port. We have bees over on the southeast corner of Square Marsh. They've been there for a couple years. We're working with Friends of Big Marsh and Active Transportation Alliance, and now that we've gotten some funding to study, further study the bike path to cross over the port that can connect Pullman to Big Marsh over there. The Nature Conservancy has come in to look at the quality of water that we have in Square Marsh and beyond. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the partnership in dredging and looking at different ways to lessen the impact that dredging has on the communities and where dredge materials could and or should go. NBC, dealing with opportunities to meet beyond just our local region, the Calumet Collaborative, absolutely measurable, with wayfinding brownfields and the different studies that are going on, and as the repository of every other or larger invested groups in and around this area. IDNR with grants with Delta Institute and helping us with coastal management. CMAP that we'll be talking about here in a few minutes is helping us with the master planning of the port, which is a very important thing that I want to bring to everyone's attention here in a few minutes on what we're doing and why we're doing it. And then, of course, our relationship with IDOT and them being such an integral part. Thank you, BJ and Clayton Stanball, with helping us get the funding to move forward with our very first capital project, and then the administration of the capital dollars that will be coming through. So we talked about our best practices. Let's be a little bit out and apologize for that. And now let's talk about IIPD projects. So the two main things that we have going on at this point in time right now is Butler Drive. So I've mentioned Butler Drive before. This is a snapshot of what Butler Drive currently looks like, and this is the paved area of Butler Drive. The other area is still a dirt road with potholes. We have track issues, the main track issues, and this truly what deteriorated track bed and inadequate drainage. And on the previous slide, I don't know if it was on there, it should have been. If it wasn't, Cook County Department of Highway and Transportation, they have been an integral partner. I'm not sure if they're here, but Maria Choka Urban and her crew also have helped us and been integral parts in that they were the first grant that we got through the Invest in Cook. And I certainly have to give a shout out also to President Preckwinkle and Commissioner Moore for the help with Cook County and Superintendent Yonan. So what we're doing with Butler Drive, this is a $17 million, $18 million project. And what it will do, hopefully starting Monday, like I said, we're going to have our contractor, Railworks, come in. What they're going to do is raise the rail about 7 inches and put it up. And then next year, starting next year, Cook County is going to come in and they're going to scarify and resurface Butler Drive. I believe the last time that any capital improvement or any improvement at all on Butler Drive was back in the 80s. And I think at that point in time, when it was done, all they did was repave the road. And what that did was it pitched water into the rail as opposed to out of the rail. And it has created some issues that we've had to deal with for the last 30 years. So what this will do, because a lot of people are just like, well, you're just repaving a road, but we're doing a lot more than that. But even if it was us just repaving a road, what this does is Butler Drive is the backbone of, certainly of Lake Calumet. So it runs from Stony Island, this Stony Island at 130th Street, the entrance coming in all the way to Doty Avenue and 127th Street. It is basically a dirt road from here all the way out. Truckers really love coming on dirt roads with potholes, so we're going to deal with that. And then what you have down here, this line is actually the rail that runs all the way down Butler Drive. And the reason why Butler Drive obviously is so important is because it deals with rail traffic, road, and it backs up to Lake Calumet. So we have 2 barges in this pictures, but ships dock here too. And then our 3 main transit sheds, 1, 2, and 3, where we have materials that come to and through, and then the backup warehouse. So these are things that we're looking at, or this is the reason why we're taking on Butler Drive first and foremost. The minute that this project is complete, we are automatically more attractive to bring in more tenants. The minute this is done, we can start looking at doing more across the street, and this is where we're looking at possibly doing an intermodal facility where we'll erect 3 more sheds, one that'll allow rail to come in, one that'll allow trucks to move in with an overhead crane, and then what we really should do when and where possible is move these tenants over there, raise these buildings, and then re-erect brand new buildings, put them back where they need to be, and then we'll have 6 new facilities at that point in time. But in order for us to do that, we need to make sure that we are planning what we're doing correctly. So we have been thanks to IDOT through CMAP and with Cambridge Systematics, we are engaged in a master plan for the port. This master plan will start out, and we're going to talk at the very end. We're going to let Elizabeth come up and Elaine, I'm not sure, You got these little thingamajigs at your seat where you can take a poll so we can start to look and get feedback on the direction that we should head. But the master plan is going to be a deliberate action by the port to make sure that we hear everyone in and around the port, everyone that has an interest in the port, and to make sure that we are acting accordingly with the plan that we get. So this is just another where we are at Iroquois Landing and then Lake Calumet, but the region that we impact is well beyond what's even here in this photo. This master plan is going to take upwards of about 2 years. Not much I can do about that, but I think that with the community engagement, with the environmental access, with the industrial eye towards what's going on, I think that what we ultimately will get is the best way, direction, and timing and teaming to move the IIPD forward. I think it's extremely important that we approach a master plan for the Illinois International Port District with the eye towards partnerships. We will look forward, we will identify a clear vision, build an actionable plan, and definitely be a catalyst for economic stimulus here in the region. There are phases that we're going to go through: market assessment, visioning, deal with implementation, stakeholder and community outreach. I think is going to be probably the most important aspect of what we do and what ultimately comes out, and then it will be our goal to publish the findings and to move forward accordingly. Future development. So you all have heard me say this before: the hotel, the boathouse, and family recreation. So south of where we are before you get to the industrial aspect of Lake Calumet, and what we're talking about now is this area right here. There's approximately 88, a little bit more depending on how you cut it or whatnot, acres that we are looking to develop. We are looking to develop a hotel here, a boathouse here, and some family recreation. We talked about the funding that we got with Active Alliance Transportation on the bike path. We're still looking to connect Pullman, come down through here to bring a bike path that connects to Square Marsh right here, and we're looking at ways we can incorporate community access and to allow more opportunities to enjoy Lake Calumet and the wonderful natural resources that we have here through these three. So we have talked about, and a year and a half ago, we put out an RFI for a hotel to gauge interest, and there was interest. There's been a little bit more interest here lately about activities at the port, especially with the hotel, the boathouse, and family recreation in this area, and we are looking forward to doing whatever, whenever, and however appropriately. There are many opportunities and different things that we can do that will incorporate the ability for the community to come in and to enjoy what we have here, which is just everything you see right out this window behind you. And then in the news, I would be remiss if I didn't mention some of the things that were in the news. So let me head this off at the pass. So the master lease, everyone's like, what happened with the master lease? Aren't you going to privatize the port? Aren't y'all going forward with that? The answer is no. Okay, so the casino. What's happening with the casino? Is there going to be a casino at the port? The answer is, I don't know. So that is where we are. I truly appreciate everyone being here, taking the opportunity to come here and to listen to what we have. Hold on for 1 second. I'm going to invite Elizabeth to come up. We're going to take a polling on some of the direction that people believe that the IIPD should take place, especially with the master planning aspect of it. But for me, and I will stay here and stick around, and we can talk and engage in any conversation that you want, but I appreciate your attendance, I appreciate your partnership, and I appreciate you all being here tonight. Thank you very, very much.
So in the meantime, while I get this set up, if everybody could check and see if you have a little clicker with an orange necklace. If you do not have one, or you try pressing the button and it doesn't make a light, could you put up your hand and we'll bring you a functioning clicker? any button, just to see if it does something.
How do you know when it lights up?
It's a little dot there at the top. Okay, so. Oh, thank you so much, Emily. Bear with me just a moment, please.
If anybody doesn't have a clicker or for some reason isn't able to answer, find me and I would be glad to take your answer and we'll incorporate it in later. We'll also be sending out, as part of the project, a public survey, so you'll have a chance to answer these questions again. So, this is the
Excellent. Thank you, Elaine. You want to just join me up here?
sure.
So, thanks for the introduction, Clayton, and just a little bit of background. I'm Elizabeth Scott from the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. We work in the 7 counties surrounding Chicago to try and promote good planning and healthy and prosperous communities. And so one of the many projects that we've been working on is coming to help Clayton figure out a path forward for the port and how to make investments in the smartest way that balances the different priorities that have to be taken into account here. And so we've been working for a while now, but we finally reached the point where we have secured funding to hire a great consultant team of transportation planners to help put together this master plan. And so this is Elaine McKenzie from Cambridge Systematics, who is leading the consultants who are doing this work. And we thought, since all of you would be in the room today, it would be a shame not to take the opportunity to ask you a few questions about what you think. These are kind of blue sky, open-ended questions, and are meant to serve as the very, very beginning of a much longer conversation. So don't think that this is a one and done. This is an invitation to a bigger conversation with us. So you should all now have these remote control looking turning point clicker things. And basically how this works is that it's a real-time polling device. And so we're going to ask you some questions, and then you will click the buttons that correspond to your answers to the questions, and we'll get to see together in a group what people's priorities are on a couple of key topics. So we shall begin. And if it makes a light, it means it's doing something. If it doesn't make a light, put up your hand, and Elaine will come and help you. There are some questions where you are allowed to do select 2 answers. It will just register the last 2 buttons you press, so if you change your mind, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Just make sure the last button or 2 buttons you press are the ones that you're thinking. Okay, so let's start with a test question. How many board members does the port have? Clayton did say this in his review. Some from the mayor, some from the governor. Please click. A for 7, B for 9, C for 12, D for 15. This is where we figure out if we know how to use the clickers.
Not my memory. Like, oh.
We're clicking.
I clicked over.
Could you hold this for a second? Yellow light. Hold on, y'all. This is why we did it at the end. Okay, let me try one more time. He's the executive director.
And it doesn't say who has what answers, so feel free to put your best guess out there.
Well, it was working like 2 minutes ago. This is the peril of this. Elaine, why don't you tell everybody a little bit of information about what we're doing together, and I'll give this one more try.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. It just needed a little encouragement.
Perhaps.
Okay, well, while she's working on that, I can expand a little bit on the process for the master plan. So we, again, are working with CMAP. Myself from Cambridge Systematics, we're working with Goodman Williams Group, and Linda Goodman and Kristen are in the back today. We're also working with Metro Strategies and Jacobs Engineering. So it's a very diverse team because there's a lot of needs and different types of issues. Like Clayton mentioned, a lot of things going on at the port and a lot of opportunities. So we've set this up as a two-phase project. The first phase is really that we're just starting with now is gathering information. We're conducting interviews. We're looking at plans that already exist. We're talking to Clayton, people who are using the port today, and people who could potentially use it tomorrow across a variety of uses. So industry, commercial, recreational, open space, everything's on the table.
We appear to be one.
All right. And then are we getting green lights?
So you can touch
Green
your
lights.
clicker to see which one you think.
All right, so again, yeah, how many board members does the port have? A for 7, B for 9, C for 12, and D for 15.
So yellow light means it doesn't work?
That appears to be true.
Try this one.
Okay, so
Thank you.
83% of you were paying attention. Probably 100% of you were paying attention, but some people were just clicking different buttons while we were figuring out how this was going to work. So thank you for your patience with the technology.
They're all yellow.
All right. Now to a real topical question that we want to gather your feedback on today. In your opinion, what should the top 2 goals of the port be? And you can select 2. I'll read them out for you if you can't see. A is economic development, so that would be job creation or new or expanded business opportunities. B, innovation, that's developing new technology or promoting clean energy. C, environmental goals, so creating more open space, preserving water quality. D, community and recreational resources, so that would be a bike path, walking area, boating, public open space. E, minimizing negative impacts, so traffic, noise, pollution, things associated with industry, as I'm sure all people in the Calumet know. And F, for other, if you think we haven't identified any of your key issue. And I should note that Elaine and I will be at a table after we're done here, and we invite anyone who would like to come speak to us. Like I said, this is the beginning of the conversation.
If you say other, please come tell us what you mean. We want to know.
So yeah, A, B, C, D, E, or F. So please click your two priorities. Got 63 responses. Give it a couple more minutes here. All right, last chance. Click now or hold your peace. Okay. All right. So, of the people in the room right now, the most think that economic development is should be a top goal of the port, followed by environmental priorities and community and recreational resources. Of less interest was the minimizing negative impacts or pursuing innovation. We also see some people who have other priorities they want to discuss, so please do come and speak to us about them.
Can I just say something? I see this a little skewed because if you live in the community, you're going to be most concerned about the community, and I don't see a whole lot of people here who are impacted by the truck traffic and the noise. So I just feel that this is a little skewed.
Yeah, and it's like
Can you repeat the question or comment?
the comment is that if there were more people who lived in the community here, then we would see more evidence of people being concerned about trucks and noise and pollution and so forth. And I think that's a totally valid comment. And we're, having the tiny first conversation of many more to come.
While I think that's a very valid comment, I think that the bigger picture has to be economic development, because without the economic development, we do not have a port, period.
Yeah, but living in a community, it's difficult to live in a community like
I'm
this,
certain.
and we do have some economic development already.
So these,
But it,
We're gonna have a conversation. This is just a snapshot of one thing that they're gonna be looking at when they start doing the master planning. This is not the only poll at all, and there are gonna be lots of meetings where they sit down and we sit down with the community. This is just one thing to start showing that we're going to be engaged with what's going on. So the debate absolutely can continue, but
for while we're doing this activity, let's go to the second question, and this is just the beginning of many conversations that I'm sure we'll be having over the next year or so. All right, so in terms of development on the port, looking ahead, what type of development would you most like to see? Pick one. So A, for industrial or business development, so that would be more manufacturing or other businesses using the port, presumably creating jobs and other economic stimulus. Better goods movement and logistics facilities, so truck, rail, taking advantage of that transportation aspect. Commercial development, hotel potentially, retail, a casino. D, outdoor recreational facilities, boathouse or marina, bike path, walking trails. E, open space, natural preservation. So that would be preserving marshland, creating opportunities for bird watching. F, clean energy, saying solar or wind. And G, once again, other. Let us know what your additional thoughts are. We'll give everybody a few minutes. We got 64 on the last one, we're at 61. All right, I'll give it one more minute, and by minute I mean long second, and we're gonna close the poll.
And while we're doing that, just a reminder, there are comment cards around the room, so if you have a comment or you chose other, please record your thoughts here so that that's memorialized and collected by Click as well as our team.
Yeah, and you can follow up by email afterwards too if it's something you want to think about more. That's absolutely fine. Whatever works better for you. All right, so let's see the results. Oh, this is very interesting. The room is pretty divided between the different, things that there's opportunities for at the port. This is why we do this activity. So I think the tie for highest are outdoor recreational facilities and clean energy facilities, followed very closely by commercial development, other. So it looks like there's something to have a conversation about there.
No.
Am I reading my own chart wrong?
I think A is pink, not magenta.
Oh, thank you. Industrial development, not other. I shouldn't use pink and other pink. So yeah, that's very interesting, and that's a great finding for us. And so we're going to capture this today and use it to think about putting together our outreach plan. So that concludes our keep head polling, and thank you for participating.
there we are. One last thing, and I was remiss, and so that we can capture concerns, please fill out the comment cards and leave these with us so that we can start capturing the concerns of all interested parties. Also, we're asking that you drop one of your cards in the pail bucket, whatever the thing is out there, so that we can put you and keep you on our mailing list. We promise not to, because I think I'm going to have to do it, send a whole lot of these. but we will, okay, Emily or Eric will do it. So we still won't send a whole lot of these, but we promise to send updates, relatively regular updates, so that you all know what's going on, and we will do our best. We're going to set up an, if it's not done yet, as part of the master planning, an email account, so that, so that we can respond back, maybe not in real time, but in as quick as real time as possible to some of the concerns that are going on during the master planning process, because this is going to be a 1.5 to 2 year project, and we want to make sure that we're keeping people up to date on everything that's going on. And I guess to encourage people to put their cards in the thing over there, we're giving away a beautiful Harborside International golf hat, and
There's a hat.
yeah, there's that. So again, thank you all for coming out. Please talk to our partners over here. I'm up here, answer any questions. We have board members here, so thank you very much.